Well, hello racing fans, and a warm welcome to our Gallop TV Preview Show for Sunday, the 2nd of June. And where we're racing, well, it's Hollywoodbets Kenilworth. And by the time this show is aired, we'll have known all the winners at Hollywoodbets Scottsville on that big sprint day. But let's get straight into it. 10 races carded. It's plenty of action at Hollywoodbets Kenilworth. And race number 1 begins at 11:40. We got the 2 features, the Winter Sprint and the Somerset 1200, a listed race. And Graham Hawkins is online, as he always is. A busy day at Hollywoodbets Kenilworth, Graham.
Yes, early start, 11:40, 10 races on the card. We've had some rain during the course of the week, so the going is definitely going to soften up. Just a further reminder, we're on the winter course, but no rain is expected on race day, so the track should be perfect for racing.
Okay, and let's get straight into it, Graham, and we'll begin in race number 1, which is a juvenile plate over 1,200 meters, and at the time of recording, all 13 runners go to post, and a lot of first-timers here, so we're going in blind, but this won't start the exotics. Just as a guide, Graham, horses that are in single figures. Number 2 has attracted some betting support, the first-timer from the Paddy Crayer stable, or number 3 that is, 12-1 into 11-2. Horse number 4 at 33-10. The favorite is priced up, number 5, Wordley, at 18-10, number 8 at 6-1, and then it's double figures, the balance. I don't know if you have your ear on the ground with any of these first-timers or you heard anything, but the money and the early money is for Paddy Crayer's horse, Scottish Lynx.
Very well bred, expensive son of Water Winter. The comments from the stable are positive and the money speaks volumes, but obviously it doesn't take a lot of money in these juvenile races to shorten from longer odds into shorter odds, and the key will be whether there's follow through as we approach race time. So keep an eye on the betting, number 3 Scottish Lynx. That seems to be the one first timer that is attracting anti-post support, as you've mentioned. 5 Worldly, the obvious choice on form. Last time out gave weight away to older horses in an open maiden, as we suggested on that occasion, wasn't the right race for Worldly. Better suited here, and with Richard Free in the irons for Glenn Cotson, will take all the beating. Obvious improvement to come from number 4 La Pulga and number 8 Give Me the Good Life, and as I said, we'll see if there's any follow through in the support for number 3 Scottish Lynx. But as we speak, the day before race day, as we record 24 hours ahead of race day, number 5 Worldly, definitely a worthy favourite and definitely the one to beat.
Well, let's hear from the course if there's any follow through, as Graham mentioned, for number 3 with regards to comments from the trainer and any of the other first timers. So race number 1, going in blind with most of the runners, but Graham mentioned that this race better suited to number 5 Worthy, and that could be the play there as a roving banker in all your bets. Race number 2 will be the start of the exotics. It's the bipod. It's a juvenile plate over 1,200 meters. They're betting like this: number 1 at 7-2. Horse number 3 is at 13-10. Number 5, Air Raid, a first timer for Candice Bass Robinson at 7-1, 8 at 6-1, and then it is double figures, the balance. Again, we'll wait for the comments, etc., feedback from the course with first timers, and you can be the judge as you watch them go down to post. But the right horse is at the top of the betting boards, Graham, and number 3, Captain West, who drifted out on debut at 20-1, but a lot of positives can be taken out of that run.
Absolutely, Dees. Obviously, that form, the strength of that form has not yet been tested. There have been no direct runners from that form line, so Captain West is in fact the first. But with natural progression, he should take a ton of beating. He is by the leading sire of 2-year-olds, One World. So that was a very pleasing debut. It was a blanket finish, 4 horses within a length of each other as they crossed the line, but Captain West should progress nicely from that. Depending on how Worldly runs in the first, because he comes out of the Kai Boy form line, he ran 3rd behind Kai Boy on the 20th of April. On that occasion, Bagatelle Flash ran 2nd. I know that Eric Sands has a very high regard for number 1 Bagatelle Flash, and his form is pretty decent, but he's had more opportunities than Captain West to find his way into the winner's enclosure. So Captain West on top for me, ahead of number 1 Bagatelle Flash, but Worldly may either strengthen the claims on the Kai Boy form or in fact weaken them. depending on how he goes. Kumra VJ has shown promise in his only 2 starts to date, and obvious scope for further improvement. Vaughan Marshall's 2-year-olds have been winning with regularity, so you have to respect number 8, Kumra VJ. But I think with natural progression, Brett Crawford's runner number 3, Captain West, with Louis Mkotlo aboard, that will take all the beating.
Well, it's about the experience of number 1 versus the improvement to come from number 3. So Graham has given you 2 runners there, numbers 1 and 3, but he does respect number 8 from a very informed stable of Vaughan Marshall, especially with his young horses. So that could be the play here in the first leg of the bar pot. 1, 3 and 8 are the runners that you're going to play around. Of the raced horses, of the unraced horses, we'll just wait for race time. Let's move along to the start of the place accumulator, which is race number 3. This will take place at 12:40, 20 to 1. It's over 1,400 meters. It's a juvenile plate. And the betting here as we pull out the field, number 1 at 5 to 1. Horse number 2 is at 13 to 10. A first timer for Garrett Van Zyl is priced up at 6 to 1. That's number 3. There's money for number 5, 6 to 1 into 4 to 1. And then horse number 11 at 8 to 1. Justin Snate's runner, Power and the Glory. Is this the right horse in the race, Graham, with the fixed odds betting market? Or are you looking for some cover here in the first leg of the place accumulator?
No, I'm not looking for any cover. I've made number 2, Power and the Glory, a banker in the bipot, and therefore would naturally banker him also in the place accumulator. Again, it's that 20th of April form line behind Kai Boy that comes under scrutiny. So again, we refer back to Worldly and Bagatelle Flash. They ran second and third, and Power and the Glory was 4th. Power and the Glory is a half-brother to Double Superlative, so that 1,000 meters on his debut would definitely have been on the sharp side. The fact that he's stepping up immediately from a good draw to 1,400 meters on the winter track, Richard Faree in the irons, all signs point to number 2, Power and the Glory, and I'm not looking for anything to beat him. Obviously, his stable companion Stated comes in with some reasonable form, but he's had 5 starts in the maidens already. Just to note that Commander Green, Gareth Van Zyl's runner, has been gelded, so he makes his debut as a gelding. But we always respect Vaughan Marshall's runners, and I'm not surprised that Western World is finding some support. That was a good debut behind Talk to the Master. That was a strong form line, and Talk to the Master, who we see in action a bit later on in this race in the Somerset 1200, is a very decent 2-year-old. So there's lots of improvement likely to come from number 5, Western World, and the stable companion number 11, Happy Days, who's got the worst of the draw to overcome. He's also heading in the right direction, but maybe not this time, maybe next time for Happy Days. So number 2, Power and the Glory, for me, the clear top selection, but the danger will be number 5, Western World.
Okay, numbers 1 and 5 there. If you do pull out the form line of number 2, you'll be disappointed. 11 runners in total, no winners. There have been a few places, but the key, as Graham mentioned, is the extra distance with the son of Gimme the Green Light. He's sure to appreciate the extra 400 meters, and number 5 is going to be the cover there, a horse that's attracted early betting support from 6 to 1 into 4 to 1 at the time of recording. Then on to the big one, the Pick 6. This will begin at 13:15. It's over 1,400 meters, and the 2-year-olds are in action throughout the day. Juvenile plate this, and we will go with the fixed odds betting market. Horses in single figures. Number 1 at 11 to 2. Horse number 3 at 4 to 1. Number 4 at 7 to 2. 5 at 11 to 2. A 17 to 10 shot here, Graham, in Roman Agent, and number 7 at 11 to 2. I think Roman Agent, if the stable wanted to, Graham, they could have put him in one of the features to come later on the day, but they've opted to go for this race, which could be, lack of a better word, safer route for him to win again.
I think this is a terrific race, Dees, and I think they're going this 1,400 meters because in a couple of weeks' time we'll see the 500,000 Rand Langerman over 1,500 meters for 2-year-olds, and that's where One Stripe is heading. So this is a clear opportunity for the connections of number 6, Roman Agent, to judge whether he would be a lively Langerman candidate or not, hence the 1,400 meter route. And there's some very good 2-year-olds in the small field. Kind of wonderful, the form is interesting. Beat Dixieland Band by 6 lengths in its second start. Dixieland Band has now come out to win. In its next start, in a juvenile plate, ran second behind Symphony in White, who runs or will have run in the Alan Robertson, as you said earlier. We record on the Saturday morning, so we don't know the outcomes of those Hollywoodbets Scottsville races, but the fact that Candice Bass Robinson has sent Symphony in White all the way from Cape Town to contest the Alan Robertson speaks volumes. And Roman Agent, well, his form speaks for itself. I'm in the camp marginally of number 4, Kinda Wonderful. I think receiving 5 kilograms from Roman Agent could just swing matters in the way of the Eric Sands trained filly Kinda Wonderful. But clearly number 6, Roman Agent, is very much alive, as is number 3, World of Pleasure. Went down narrowly in a rough race against older horses after beating subsequent winner Buzz Bomb by 3.5 lengths in its maiden. So that was a run full of merit behind Kevin Olasedi against older horses in what was a keenly contested race. So don't put a line through number 3, World of Pleasure. That's definitely got a chance. My order of preference would be Kinda Wonderful on top, ahead of number 6, Roman Agent, and number 3, World of Pleasure. In my view, those are the 3 principals. But there are other improving 2-year-olds. You know, Mauritius Kestrel is improving, African Prince, and all out for 6. They do have chances. But I think there's a bit of value to be had about number 4, Kinda Wonderful.
Well, the only filly that has stood her ground against the boys here is number 4, Kinda Wonderful. And as Graham mentioned, the pull in the weights, the fact that she is going over a distance that may suit her better, could be the value in the race at 7-2. But he's given you 3 horses for the start of the pick 6, and in numerical order, numbers 3, 4, and 6. And hopefully that could be good enough there, reducing down the perm by less than half the field. 7 runners go to post there. Race number 5 is the start of the jackpot. There is a sweetener to the pool, Graham, 250,000. R1,000,000 is the estimate. And I think with the quality of racing on offer, we could certainly get to that amount and maybe plus. It's a maiden plate, 1,600 meters. The betting, number 3 at 2-1, number 4 at 7-1. Horse number 5 at 4-1, 6 at 18-10, 7 is an 8-1 shot, 9 runners go to post. It's 10-1 and better the balance. Maiden plate, Graham, 1,600 meters. There's some form to work around here. And if you had to single out the principals, they look to be numbers 3, 5, 6, and 7. Of course, number 7 will be having a first run for Pit Porter coming from the Mike Miller yard. So I don't know, what the word is there on her well-being and how she's going to perform first time out, because she's been off since the 31st of December. But what you make of the local runners there, Graham?
Yeah, obviously I have a measure of respect for number 4, Etoile Volante, number 7, Style Icon. Style Icon hasn't run since December, so I'll sit on the fence with number 7, Style Icon. I've narrowed it down to 3 runners with a clear preference for one of them. The 3 runners that I think the winner will come from, numbers 3, Midway, number 5, Tsunami Warning, and number 6, Water Dragon. So I think the betting tells the correct story. I think the first half of this card, 10-race program, is where I think the form will hold up nicely, and the betting will be an accurate guide. Of the 3, I definitely prefer the chances of number 3, Midway. I think he's improving nicely. He's only had the 3 starts, second to Damio last time out. Water Dragon was a comfortably beaten favourite in his last start. Certainly could make amends. Tsunami Warning, I think the recent improvement speaks for itself. So those are the 3 dominating the betting. As far as the carryover jackpot is concerned, I would certainly include all 3, numbers 3, 5, and 6. But depending on how you play the later races, if you're really looking to find a potential pick 6 banker, then of those 3 that I've mentioned, I would head in the direction of number 3, Midway. I think he's going to continue to improve. I think he's going to prove to be the one to beat. But obviously, one has to have healthy respect for number 5, Tsunami Warning, and in particular number 6, Water Dragon, who can bounce back from rather disciplined.
Okay, so we will see what happens here in race number 5, which is Jackpot 1. Graham has given you 3 runners, numbers 3, 5, and 6. And again, I remind you, R1,000,000 estimated pool. You need to get this bet on by 10-2, 13.50. We go on to race number 6. This is 1,000 meters. and this 1,000-meter trip for fillies and mares. And let's have a look at the betting here in the sixth race. Number 1 is at 28 to 10. Number 2 is at 3 to 1. Number 3 at 6 to 1. Number 4 at 28 to 10. And horse number 7 is a 3 to 1 shot. Graham, we just broke for a second there. I hope that you're back. Are you back online?
Yes, indeed. I'm here and hearing you loud and clear.
Yeah, thanks to that. Just a break in the signal there, but Graham is clear as crystal now. Race number 6, Graham, over this 1,000-meter trip, we got 8 runners that go to post. I just want to touch on these 2 runners, Graham, because I was quite taken back on how they performed. Number 2, Love Shack, and number 7, Tequila Sky. They took some time, both of them taking 10 runs to crack the maiden, but they put in very good post-maiden runs.
Yeah, this is where matters get a little bit tougher. This is a Class 4 handicap for fillies and mares over 1,000 meters, and yes, although Love Shack took a long time to win a maiden, as you've mentioned, as well as number 7, Tequila Sky. In this sort of class, they're going to be very competitive. As I mentioned earlier, the track conditions are starting to soften up nicely, so a lot of the summer form when the track was, we're going to have to throw out the window and see how these horses perform on softer ground. Palo Queen is no stranger to winning on softer conditions, so she could go well here. This is a tough race, as you'll see from my suggested bet, the bipot. This is the penultimate leg of the bipot, and while I've gone thin in the early legs of the bipot, the last 2 legs have gone wide. In fact, I've included 6 of the 8 runners here, so I'm playing Russian roulette with the fact that the other 2 I've left out don't come first and second. That's how tough I see this race. I can't be of much help. Clearly, the Palo Queen form line speaks for itself. Palo Queen beat She's My Captain, who beat Tequila Sky, who beat Night Vigil. Now, Night Vigil in that race for me is interesting. She ran well below expectations. There's been a bit of a nibble in the market for Night Vigil, and I can't believe she's as bad as her last run. So I think even Night Vigil could surprise this lot. But yeah, it's competitive. It's a Class 4 handicap for fillies and mares. Even here, my voice, I think, can bounce back. On current form, it does look as if Palo Queen, She's My Captain, and Tequila Sky are the leading lights. But I think you ignore number 2, Love Shack, at your peril. And I'm looking for a much better run from Night Vigil. And here, my voice could surprise.
Yeah, the stable seem to have this filly Palo Queen on a string, the way they got her racing. She is solid. Just have a look at her recent form. Faultless. She always puts in a solid shift. So she looks the right horse, and that's why at the top of the betting boards, a joint favorite with number 1 at 28 to 10. But Graham's suggesting play as wide as your budget will allow. There could be a result here in race number 6 with the 8 runners that go to post. So tread carefully. Unless you really like something and you can reduce your perm, that could be a big bonus there. On to race number 7. It's the Winter Sprint. It's over 1,200 meters. This is the start of Jackpot 2. And at the time of recording, no scratchings here, Graham. 12 runners go to post. I'll give you the betting in single figures. Number 3 at 5 to 1. Number 5 at 4 to 1. Horse number 6 at 7 to 2. Number 7 at 9 to 2. And then it's number 11, Rio Carrari, and that's at 6 to 1. A very interesting riding booking here of Glenn Cotson getting Grant van Niekerk on a horse that will be debuting for Sean Terry. And we know her from her success with Sean Terry, now at the Glenn Cotson stable called Marigold Hotel. Is she worth a second look, or we just wait for some type of feedback maybe we get from the course in the early part of that race meeting if they conduct an interview with Glenn Cotson on her well-being, etc., because I'm excited to see how she goes in Cape Town.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. There's no doubt. She has been sold to the Paardeberg stud, so she's on her way to the locally based Paardeberg stud, which is in fact not too far from Glenn Cotson's racing stables in the Paarl Valley area. So obviously there's a couple of months to go before she sets off to stud. They're giving her a run here. Her recent form was over further, where she was 3rd over 1,600 meters on 2 occasions. So it's hard to know. I know nothing. It's hard to know. She could come out fresh, and I think this is a very competitive race. When I first looked at it, I thought, Questioning will win again. We'll step up back to the 1,200 meters from the 1,100 he won so well last time out when he beat Jerusalem Rain by half a length. I thought, he's heading in the right direction. He's obviously a very decent sprinter. Interestingly, he's been sold. He races in new colours. Part of the ownership is Greg Bort, so the Fosters don't own Questioning anymore. But then the more I looked at the race, more complicated it became. It's interesting that Pit Stain has put Richard Ferree on Mo Capitano, despite the fact that Richard's got to put 1.5 kilos over. Mo Capitano has won his last 2 starts and is definitely one that will appreciate softer going. Jerusalem Rain, he's always a threat. He's only got half a length to find with Questioning. Bereave, better than his last run. They've changed his equipment slightly, I believe, to include a pricker, which could help him not hang as he always does in the closing stages. Rio Carrari, well, his next win is imminent. He's just always there and thereabouts. But there's a horse tease that I like in this race at a big price. I'm not saying he's going to win, but I think he's going to be a player. He's going to love going back down the straight. He's going to love the fact that the sting is out of the ground. I'm referring to number 4, We Are Jamming, who's at 16-1. The last time he raced over 1,200 metres was in the Diadem when he was beaten under 2 lengths by Thunderstruck. All his subsequent runs have been around the bend over further. I do still believe that We're Jamming is better down the straight over 1,200 metres. He's very easy to back. Look at his course and distance form. 7 starts for 3 wins and 2 seconds. And I think he's a player. So I think whatever you do, don't leave out number 4, We're Jamming. So again, at first glance, I thought Questioning definitely the right horse, but the more I studied the race, the more complex it became, so I've gone wide here. But Questioning does remain my first choice, with number 4, We Are Jamming, being the value.
Well, have a look at my book. Have a look at my book, Graham, under We Are Jamming. I'm holding it up to the camera. A big circle around that horse, and with the VB there, value bet. That's what I've written down. So Graham has given that the rubber stamp, number 4, We Are Jamming, and I think 16-1 is not going to last after this. So that could be the result that you require in Jackpot 1. Of course, this is Jackpot 2, and it could be a dream start if that has to arrive at those odds. But I suspect that 16-1 is going to be snapped up. It's a competitive field, but I think Graham has found the right horse at a decent price here in number 4, We Are Jamming. So on to race number 8, Somerset, 1,200 listed race over 1,200 meters, and one of the feature races on the day. And let's give you some betting. Number 2 is at 4-1, number 4 at 5-1. Then we go on to number 6 at 7-2, number 7 at 8-1, and horse number 8 at 17-10. Numbers 1, 4, and 7, Graham, are the fillies that will take their place against the boys here. I think let's start with them first before we touch on the Vaughan Marshall strong coupling of numbers 6 and 8. Are the fillies in the hunt here, Graham? Can they possibly, you know, run to be competitive against these boys?
With 2-year-olds improving at different rates, that's a very difficult question to answer, but I can answer it this way. I'm not really in their camp. I think the best of the fillies would be number 4, Miss World, who was narrowly beaten by Talk to the Master last time, and therefore has a bright chance again. So number 4, Miss World, would be the pick of the fillies for me. I make her my 3rd and 4th choice amongst the 3rd and 4th choices, along with number 2, Kai Boy. We spent a lot of time talking about Kai Boy earlier, where his form line, the form line of his victory over Bagatelle Flash comes under scrutiny in a couple of the races. So Kai Boy can certainly improve, but I think it's a match. Dees, between the 2 Vaughan Marshall inmates, number 6 Talk to the Master, and number 8 Lion Rampart. Interestingly, Kai Boy was only beaten 2 lengths by Lion Rampart on debut. He received 3 kilos there. They meet at level weights now. So strictly on form, you would think that number 8 Lion Rampart is very experienced. He's had a lot of racing, whereas Kai Boy is relatively unexposed. But I think that Lion Rampart is still one of those that is going to continue to improve. Richard Ferree sticks with him ahead of number 6, Talk to the Master. Richard also rode Talk to the Master when it ran second to the Little Ballerina. But I think the winner's going to come from one of these 2. I'd be surprised if it didn't. I think Vaughan Marshall holds all the aces here. Marginally in the camp of number 8, Lion Rampart, over number 6, Talk to the Master. But I think that could be close. And then numbers 2, Kai Boy, and number 4, Miss World, to follow them home.
Well, these are the horses that one could say where omissions from the Hollywoodbets Scottsville sprint race day, and we'll be at the Allen Robertson for the fillies or the gold medallion for the colts, but we'll definitely see them in action on Sunday, and we'll see how the form holds up. Vaughan Marshall, as Graham mentioned, has a very strong hand in numbers 6 and 8 here. The Somerset 1200, a listed race for a stake of 250,000 Rand. Let's see if it turns out to be a form result. Race number 9 is not the last race on the card. We've got 10 races at Hollywoodbets Kenilworth, but this is where the exotics will close off. Not the exotics that's jackpot 2, but I'm talking about the pick 6 and the place accumulator. 1,200 meters the distance. Number 1 at 7-2. Number 4 at 3-1. Horse number 5 at 3-1. And then we go on to number 9, Silver Crown, at 7-2. When I looked at this race, Graham, if you're playing a pick 6, this is one of the legs where you can narrow it down. I know it's tight at the top of the betting boards, 7-2, 3-1, but I think the right horses should possibly fight this race out. These 4 horses look to play the part here when it comes to the outcome of the race.
I agree with you. I do think races 9 and 10 are obviously quite tricky and potentially upset races, particularly race 10, which is the last leg of jackpot 2. But yeah, we're going to take our chances here by narrowing this down. Numbers 1, Oliver, number 4, Dumbledore, number 5, Gimme Lightning, and number 9, Silver Crown. Those do appear to have the best credentials coming into the race. I was impressed. I was not overly convinced when Adam Marcus decided to step Oliver back from 1,400 to 1,200 last time out. But he could hardly have been more impressive. The faster pace down the lane suited him well, and the way he quickened up and the way he travelled with a slightly softer track and with Craig Zaki aboard this time because Elder De Meyer can't do the weight. I think Oliver's a big player again. I think he could go bang bang over 1,200 metres. I was that impressed with him last time out. Admittedly, Night Bomber didn't do too much for the form, but the manner in which Oliver won suggested he could follow up. Dumbledore, Gimme Lightning, not much to choose between them. Silver Crown has been knocking very loudly in the door in his last 2 runs. Also, close second behind Gimme Lightning last time out. On the softer track with the conditions slightly changing, it could be a different outcome. But yes, we're going to rely on numbers 1, 4, 5, and 9 to get us through the final leg of the pick 6 and this leg of jackpot 2, the place accumulator. I would throw all 4 in again because the going is a bit unknown and how they're all going to handle the slight change. All of the recent form that these runners have shown have been on a faster track, so they're going to have to adapt to a slightly slower track, but I don't see any problems in that regard. But I would be making number 1 Oliver my hesitant first choice on the basis of his impressive last course and distance victory.
Okay, expecting a form result there in race number 9, and then we close things off in the 10th race, Graham, 1,400 meters, and everything being equal on the day with regards to race time, we should kick things off at 16:40. Horse number 2 at 7-1, number 4 at 33-10, number 5 at 4-1. Then we go on to number 8 at 5-1 and number 13 at 6-1. There are 2 scratchings at the time of recording, numbers 9 and 14. Okay, Graham, the exotics are done, and now it's race number 10. Do you have a suggested bet here, a roving banker and a quartet, maybe an exacta? I don't know what you're going to do in race number 10.
Yeah, I know it's a tough race. It's a tough end to jackpot 2, and if you can, you need to include them all to guarantee yourself getting through. But let's try and lighten up the load a little bit. Runners that I think have to be paid more than a second glance are numbers 1, Flight to Rio, number 2, Catalea, number 3, F8, number 4, Cloud Chaser, number 5, Senior Victoria. Those ones, certainly, they're all drawn well, numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Outside of that, possibly number 8, Beneath the Moon. So where does the big upset come from? Possibly number 11, In a Sense, can improve. But it's a very difficult race. Cloud Chaser showed something of her old self in her last run when third to Little Miss Pink, but they were all in a heap on that race. Just behind her was Senior Victoria. So I don't know how trustworthy that form is going to turn out to be behind Little Miss Pink. So really, Dees, this race is ripe for an upset. It's up for grabs. There's no result here that would surprise me. But if I'm going to give you my top 3 in order of preference, it would be my top 4 would be 4 Cloud Chaser, ahead of 2 Catalea, 3 F8, and 5 Senora Victoria. Those would be my top 4. But I wouldn't be surprised to see a big result in the 10th and final.
Well, Graham has given you 6 runners, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 8 in order of preference, 4, 2, 3, and 8. And then my final question to him will be, it's very tough when you got 10 races carded, but I'm sure there'll be a large number of players. If you had to pick out your Hollywoodbets Punters Challenge entry in race number 10, which horse would it be, Graham?
I'd be in the camp of Cloud Chaser, if only for the fact, that man Richard Freeze on your side, so that he could be the determining factor in the outcome of race 10.
Yeah, and he is in a hurry to get to that Twa cut, Richard Fourie. Okay, that's the 10 races, Graham. Let's get straight into your chosen bet for this race meeting. And you've told us earlier on that it is the bipod, which is up on screen now.
Yes, it is. We start with a few runners in each of the legs, in fact 2 bankers, and we end up with quite wide selections in the last 2 legs. So banker number 3 in the opening leg, that is Captain West. Banker number 2, Power and the Glory, in the second leg. Just numbers 4, Kinda Wonderful, and 6, Roman Agent, in the third leg. Then numbers 3, 5, and 6, Midway, Tsunami Warning, and Water Dragon. We should comfortably get through there and indeed double up. If you want to make this perm even smaller, then perhaps you want to banker number 3, Midway. Taking no chances in the penultimate leg. The only 8 runners have included 6. I'd be seriously embarrassed to go out of the bipod here with the 2 that have left out. We've gone with all of numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, 7, and 8. Can you imagine if the result is 5 and 6? That would be embarrassing. But I've gone with numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, 7, and 8. And then the last leg, which is the Winter Sprint, numbers 4, We're Jamming. We've both picked up on that one as being the value in the race. Number 5, Jerusalem Rain. Number 6, Questioning. Number 7, Bereave. And number 11, Rio Carrari. That is my suggested bipod for Kenilworth on Sunday.
Okay, Graham, I think a nice way to end it off will be, it is under a month now, just over a month, should I say, before the premier horse racing event on the African continent. It is the Hollywoodbets Durbanville, and you've been firmly part of what I think is a big team that sits down, prepares, and try to get everything to the T for that massive race day. And how's the preparations going? It's all systems go now, Graham. You've turned into the straight. It's the final furlong.
Yes, can you believe we're already into June? We're a little over a month away from the Hollywoodbets Durbanville. Yes, everything is on track, and we're looking forward to a really bumper race day. Signs are good, tickets are flying, the infield is going well, so too all of our restaurant venues are pretty much well sold out already, and yes, obviously the runners will be wrapping up their final preparations, and we head towards the announcement of the final field, then the gallops, etc. So it's all happening. And of course, next Saturday, the Hollywoodbets Gold Challenge, the R2 million Hollywoodbets Gold Challenge, will be another interesting key race on the road to the 2024 Hollywoodbets Durbanville.
Well, the next month is arguably the most exciting month for the racing fans throughout the country and around the world that follow South African horse racing. And we wish Graham and the entire team at Gold Circle alongside Hollywoodbets all the best to putting on a great show come the first week of Saturday. Thanks for your time, Graham.
Thanks, Dees. Go out.
Yeah, thanks to Graham Hawkins, and thanks to you, the valued racing fan, for your support, your invaluable support of South African horse racing. And I wish that Sunday, the 2nd of June at Hollywoodbets Kenilworth turns out to be a successful day for you punting. From the entire team at Gallop TV and myself, Dees Dynan. Until we meet again, you take care. Salaniga Shle.